Hey guys, Jess here. I know that I have been awful with putting out videos lately. My sincerest apologies. We're in the middle of final season. It's almost done though, so regular video activity will be back to normal very shortly. Today I'm doing my Hunter x Hunter review. Tomorrow I'm doing my Gintama review. I'm positive of that, but more importantly than me being back, Hunter x Hunter is back. Or it's been back for about 3 weeks now. It's exciting though. The hiatus is over, and Togashi is really pulling out all the stops now that he has returned. As for how long this will go on before the hiatus resumes, no idea, but let's just enjoy this for as long as we can. Didn't get a new chapter this past week, just as all the Jump manga are in general are taking a break for the week. There's a holiday in Japan or something, so I have heard, but that's fine. A 1-week break isn't really an issue, and I'll get a chance to tend to all of these stuff that I falling behind on as well, so it's all good. I am putting out my reviews for 350 and 351 together in one review just to save time and energy, and I will be doing the same for the most recent 2 chapters of Gintama as well, 584 and 585. Get everything done in one fell swoop, and it's smooth sailing from this point forward. 1 chapter every week within a day or so of the chapter's release, save for extenuating circumstances. Sound good? Awesome. To begin, Hunter x Hunter Chapter 350. This is a far more direct continuation of the plot of the Dark Continent arc before the hiatus than what we get in the next chapter with Chrollo and Hisoka, because this is Kurapika, and he really is going to be one of the, if not the stars of the arc, I think, with Leorio, of course. My current theory is that this arc is going to be for Kurapika and Leorio what Chimera Ant was for Gon and Killua, meaning that unless Gon and Killua somehow end up involved in this, which I'm not really sure if they will, we are going to see Leorio and Kurapika effectively on their own in the most dangerous situation that they have ever been in. And Leorio is going to watch Kurapika self-destruct, and it's going to hurt. Like, Kurapika, I love him. He's one of my favorite Hunter x Hunter characters, but his arc has sort of read self-destruction for a very, very long time. And based on the fact that we have, 1, the princess involved, the most dangerous one we currently know of, currently in possession of the Scarlet Eyes, and 2, with the most recent chapter Chrollo involved and more dangerous than ever, it's not looking good for Kurapika. But this chapter itself, we have 3 things I would like to discuss. 1, the return of lots of old characters. 2, classic Hunter x Hunter strategic mind games. And 3, Kurapika's ultimate assignment. We'll start with the easy stuff. Lots of old characters are back, and it is great to see them. Hunter x Hunter's cast has only ever grown with each new arc, and this arc is no exception, which sort of gives the impression that the story just keeps on expanding. And it's great, but there does come a point where you sort of want things to come together and coalesce at the same time as they're being expanded. You don't want old characters and old plot threads to drop, and this chapter definitely delivered in that regard. We got Bisky back for one thing, though she's kind of a pretty recurring character regardless. I think she's appeared in every arc since her initial appearance in Greed Island. The fun ones are the others. We've got Izanabi, Kurapika's Nen teacher from Forever Go. I think his name was different in the anime. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm not familiar with the name, or I think what I read was that they gave him a name in the anime, but that he was never named in the manga. Feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I'm actually very interested to see what sort of role his character will play in this arc, as there was, even back in, York New, a bit of tension between them. He was quite resistant to Kurapika's ideas about Nen in the flashbacks that we saw. Kurapika's Nen that he dedicated to destroying the Phantom Troop, expressing his concern that, if I'm quoting him correctly, Kurapika would really just be chaining down himself in his quest to get revenge. And if Kurapika is going to end up in a Dark Places arc, as I expect he will, it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to this, considering that he sort of warned Kurapika of this ahead of time. Same for Melody. She's expressed concern for Kurapika in the past as well in this regard, though in a far gentler way, I guess you could say. She's not really one to really outwardly resist or protest. We have Hanzo and Basho as well. They're making a reappearance. We haven't seen them for a while, and I don't think they've had as much of a significant presence with regards to Kurapika. I don't remember, at least on comparison to the others. I am, however, looking forward to seeing their further development, because we just haven't gotten that much from either of them. Hanzo, obviously, we've gotten more from him. Because it looks like all of these guys are going to be a rather significant presence in this arc, as they are assisting Kurapika, and they will each serve as a bodyguard to one of the princes. Along with Leorio, most likely, they are going to need to keep Kurapika in check during this arc, simply by virtue of their presence in his life. Remember, in York knew it was for Gon and Killua that Kurapika gave up Chrollo. The people he cares about in life are really his only anchor, I guess you could say. He really needs them, or it will be very easy for him to sort of go off the wall. And they're going to need to be stubborn about supporting him, because Kurapika has a tendency to engage in one of his most dangerous potential behaviors, isolating himself. He's been doing that since York New ended, really, and, like, he works effectively well alone, but it's not very healthy for him, I don't think. Regardless, most of the first half of this chapter was a strategy session, I guess you could say. This has always been one of my favorite things about Hunter x Hunter. Honestly, a victory in Hunter x Hunter is dependent upon outsmarting your opponent as much as outmatching them physically is. And it really keeps you, as an audience member, on your toes as you're reading or watching, and it's not something that you see done very often in anime manga, let alone done as well as in Hunter x Hunter. I hate calling it, like, intelligent, as that makes it sound kind of pretentious, but I think that is the word that fits it best. Kurapika is trying to become the bodyguard of Prince Harkenberg, as he believes that this will put him the closest he can possibly be to Prince Zariadnich, the one with the scarlet eyes. And we get a little bit of insight into the nature of the relationship between Harkenberg and Zariadnich here. There's not a lot, but there definitely seems to be something of a significant relationship here. But the weird thing is, an apparently prodigious young man is supporting someone that we know to be something of a psychopath. The question, why? Does he know, or is he ignorant? Both possibilities offer very interesting prospects. If he knows and is with Zariadnich, Kurapika is really heading straight towards a very dangerous individual without really knowing fully the nature of this danger. If he's ignorant, he's a far easier tool. Both offer the opportunity for us to look further into the inner dynamics of the King royal family, which I am looking forward to seeing. As Hunter x Hunter, if nothing else, is absolutely magnificent when it comes to developing the antagonistic and or villainous cast. But long story short, Kurapika ends to enter his employ through an incredibly abstract reasoning process, I guess you could say, based off of very little information, like who responded first, who's offering the most or least sort of pay, that kind of thing. All the while, I'm like, Kurapika, if you can figure this out based off of that, good on you, you're a lot smarter than me. Because all the while I'm thinking, you could just be, like, reading things into these arbitrary details. The chances of miscalculation just seem so high. But that's sort of just me and my tendency to overthink things, and Kurapika's very willingness to take that sort of gamble is probably both why he's so good at what he does, and a potential weakness that could be exploited. And what's great about the conclusion of this is sort of that he was correct, but he was also incorrect. He does not get Harkenberg, he gets Wobble, the little baby. So he's wrong in that sense, but Wobble's mother/representative was trying to make it look like Harkenberg, and Harkenberg, he didn't even send out a request for a bodyguard in the first place. Naturally, this is a bit of an upset for Kurapika, but he is now in a rather interesting situation, I guess you could say. He is going to need to defend an infant. Wobble's mother gives us a lot of insight into the nature of the royal family, most significantly how this succession competition is really little more than a battle royale. Only one of these princes will be returning home to become king, and the rest will be dead. Their entire existence of a prince is centered around the idea of being king, and if they fail to live up to that, there's no point anymore. There can only be one king after all. This is the family's mindset, incredibly messed up, naturally, but that is how it is. That's what we're working with here. Naturally, Wobble's mother has her reservations about this. Number one, she's in a weaker position, and she, of course, wants her infant daughter to live. She's something of a potentially very interesting character. Honestly, she was able to outsmart Kurapika, a character we know to be very intelligent. And so, my question is, where do her real loyalties lie? Is she just an innocent woman trying to protect her child? Or does she have something else in mind? We haven't seen enough of her to tell, I don't think, but I am very curious to see what comes next, and I don't know which direction the story will head. However, for me, the most interesting thing right now is that Togashi seems to be setting up quite the moral quandary here for Kurapika. Look, we're heading into a very dangerous situation, and he's got a very risky goal in going after Zariadnich, now to be balanced with the second goal of protecting an infant. I imagine that there's going to be some point along the way where Kurapika is going to need to choose between these two things. And I think that this potential choice of his will be one of the moral turning points in his character arc, be it for better or for worse. When you add an infant to the equation, the epitome of innocence, this is where morality is made a good deal more black and white than usual. And I think that's all I've got for 350, really. A really strong starting point for the series' return, furthering the great sweat-up that we've gotten for the Dark Continent in previous chapters. On to 351. 350 was excellent, but 351 was, I guess, the more of a hype chapter, I guess you could say, because out of nowhere, Chrollo and Hisoka. Chrollo versus Hisoka. This fight, it's been a long time coming. And that's coming from me, who first watched York New just back in November. Like, I've been looking around and reading up on other people's thoughts on the chapter, and a few people have pointed out that Chrollo has not appeared in the manga since 2001. 15 years ago. I was like, 5 then? Yeah, 5 probably. Depending on the time, like, the chapter was released. This has been a long time coming, and I don't think that anyone expected it to come right now in the middle of all of this Dark Continent expedition stuff. So, like, Hisoka, he's got a last name now. He is evidently Hisoka Moro. Fun tidbit. But what's interesting about this fight, aside from the matchup itself, of course, is that I was sort of thinking that the Chrollo versus Hisoka fight before this, was thinking that it might not end up happening at all. Like, Hisoka's fight with Gon and Chrollo's fight with Kurapika, whenever these may come, are of far more significance to the wider story, and likely resulting in one or the other's death, and so I was wondering how the two of them would actually manage up against each other. And here they are, and it's kind of exciting. I'm liking the simple fact right now that both of these characters are actually pushing each other in the fight. In the simplest sense, this sort of acts as like a callback to one of my favorite things about Hunter x Hunter, physical fights complemented by mind games. And so we're really getting to see two masters at work here, I guess you could say. And I can't really remember a time where either of them really struggled in a fight, so this was cool to see. I don't really know who's going to win. Like, it's a death match, technically, so we are currently acting under the assumption that one of the two is going to die. But I don't really want to see that happen, as they are two very significant characters in Hunter x Hunter that are not even close to having been explored enough, especially given that this is an arc that looks like there is going to be a lot of Kurapika. Like, we need Chrollo to live, and it does look like he has the upper hand here by virtue of his new abilities, but you can't kill Hisoka yet either, right? Like, no, you can't kill the clown Togashi. So, honestly, my question is, how are the two of them going to somehow get out of this alive? They have mutually declared their intent to kill, so it's not really likely that either of them is going to back down without a very good reason. And both of them are going to need a good reason to back down if they're both going to survive, because even if one wants out, number one, I highly doubt he'd admit that. Number two, the other one would take advantage of that moment of weakness and go in for the kill anyway. And so, what could a potential draw away from the fight be? I honestly have no idea. Hisoka is exactly where he wants to be, and Chrollo's motivations are as ambiguous as ever. He's hard to read, and I have no idea what could draw him away. And somehow it is going to need to tie back into the Dark Continent subplot, as there would be no other reason to reintroduce them at this time otherwise. I could see them somehow getting involved in the expedition, maybe, possibly as bodyguards, like Kurapika and company are, which would make for an interesting conflict when Kurapika realizes who was guarding the other princes. Like, what a sick twist it would be. Seti Ednich and Chrollo ended up paired together. But, like, I have no idea whatsoever how that would actually come together, how it would actually happen. What would draw either of these men to the Dark Continent? I don't really know what Togashi is going to do with this reintroduction. I really don't. Like, it's really cool, and, like, the speculation about Chrollo's abilities, he's stronger now, but what's the new restriction he set on himself? He seemed to have Sean Lark's ability. Did he take the other spider's abilities as well? And how did he end up with Nen again in the first place? So, clearly this is all important stuff. It's just, where did it come from? How does this connect to the story we know we're being told this arc? Because, at this rate, it's getting even bigger. The sheer size of the cast we're about to start dealing with, characters new and all this insane, so many different factions and goals and motivations, and we're all heading into the Dark Continent. The level of danger that we're dealing with here is ridiculous. I am excited. That is all. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and or subscribe. Reviews will be posted on a regular basis again very shortly. Goodbye, finals. I'm sorry again, but thank you again as well. I'll see you soon.